Wide Open, Chapter 8, Plans and Expectations. The raw honesty of their recent sharing had forged a deeper, more authentic connection between Maia and Mark. They found it helpful to implement a regular 10-minute heart-sharing practice on most days. There was no set schedule. They just went with the flow, like two birds finding each other on the same branch. They would sit on the sofa together, sometimes holding hands, and talk about whatever was troubling them, something they were grateful for, or a hope for the future. As their evening heart share drifted into silence, Mark said, "It was really nice having Chloe with us for dinner the other day. She's warm, easy to talk to. I felt completely comfortable with her." Maia squeezed Mark's hand. "I think you two are really sweet together. You know, if you wanted to ask her out on a proper date, I'd be really happy for you." Mark was amazed. This was it, the tangible, loving permission to join Maia on this exciting journey of sharing love more widely and the reassurance he needed to explore a new connection. The invitation sparked a wave of nervous excitement in his stomach. Her encouragement was such a profound act of trust that it silenced the background hum of insecurity, the fear that seeking connection elsewhere would mean betraying your current partner. A few days later, Mark met Chloe for their first cup of tea together. It felt good. There was definitely a spark between them. Their second date, a walk along the river, was easy and enjoyable. They held hands for a while, without anyone needing to define what it meant. At their third meeting, when Chloe came to their place again, Maia went to bed with a book, while Mark and Chloe stayed on the sofa talking until midnight. They naturally started to cuddle up, giving each other warmth and comfort. As Mark caressed her tender body, he sensed her arousal and eagerness to open herself up to him, but he didn't take it any further. For tonight, at least. When he finally slipped into bed, he was vibrating with an unfamiliar joy. He wasn't just Maia's boyfriend anymore. He was beginning to be a part of a wider network of love. In the dark, he whispered to Maia about some of the things he had talked over with Chloe, how they had found a true connection, and the way her body had reacted to his touch. She listened, then curled into him with a contented sigh. "I'm so glad," she murmured, and he knew she meant it. Then she added, "Chloe became depressed as a single woman. She deserves more care, affection, and excitement in her life. And I know you have a lot to give. You can make her happy, just the way you make me happy." Instead of words, he responded with a hand finding her breasts and a kiss that deepened from tenderness into something hungrier. She could feel his gratitude in the way he held her, and his arousal was quiet proof of how alive he felt. Their bodies found each other with a new kind of intimacy, built not on possession, but on being fully seen and freely chosen, a celebration of earned trust and given freedom. Afterwards, curled up together in warmth, the sweet silence between them was filled with rich, deep joy. The following week was filled with these new, thrilling energies. Mark and Chloe exchanged messages, sharing articles and making plans to go for another walk. One evening, Maia had a long, laughter-filled video call with Dorian while Mark read in the other room. The sound was no longer a trigger, but rather a pleasant reminder of his own contentment. They were putting their new skills into practice, checking in with each other and acknowledging their feelings. And it was working. Their cup was not just full, it was overflowing. Until Thursday. It started innocently over breakfast. "Chloe's free tonight," Mark said, scrolling through a message. "She invited me over to her place. We're finally going to watch that film we've been talking about. Maia paused while rinsing her smoothie glass. The implication hung in the air. She knew what the invitation meant. She felt a slight twinge in her stomach. "Oh," she said. "I was actually hoping we could finally try that new restaurant tonight. You've been talking about it for weeks, and I thought it would be nice to do something spontaneous in the middle of the week." She craved some quality time together to bring a sense of normality to their new, more complex schedules. Although her tone wasn't accusing, the disappointment in the kitchen was palpable. Mark looked up. "Could we do it tomorrow or the day after?" Maia swallowed her emerging feelings and approached the situation rationally. "I guess it can wait," she said. "It's fine." During her lunch break, Maia found herself staring at her phone, unable to make out what was on the screen. The logical part of her brain replayed the morning. "We can go to the restaurant another day. He's happy. Chloe needs this. I'm not jealous. This is what I wanted." But it was based on the unspoken assumption that her time was the flexible variable in their schedule. Chloe had made a concrete claim on his evening, and it was expected that Maia would adjust. By the time Mark got home from work, the tension had silently grown heavier. Their usual easy greeting had become stiff. He immediately sensed the shift in the atmosphere. "Hey," he said, kissing her. "Everything okay?" They stood in the hallway, an abyss of unspoken words between them. Maia knew that now was the time to use her heart-sharing skills, to express her hurt before it consumed her. But the words she wanted to say felt childish. "I'm just tired," she said. She walked into the kitchen, putting the physical space of the table between them. Mark stood in the doorway. He could sense her pulling away from him. His nervous excitement about the evening turned to defensiveness. "Is this about tonight?" he asked. "Because if you didn't want me to go, you could have just said so this morning." There it was. The spark flared up. "It's not about you going," Maia snapped, turning to face him. "It's about you not even seeing that there was a choice to make. You just announced your plan. My time and proposal were just background noise." She could hear the blame and accusation in her own tone and hated it. This was the exact opposite of "I feel" statements and calm presence. "So now I have to run every idea by you for approval? Is that the freedom we're building? A permission slip system?" He was projecting his own old fear of being controlled, which was roaring back to life and drowning out the vulnerable truth. He had been so excited that he hadn't thought about her at all. "That's not what I'm saying, and you know it." Her voice rose. "This is about basic respect, about not taking me, the one who made this possible for you, for granted." The sentence hung in the air, toxic and true in its resentment. It was an unspoken ledger laid bare. "I gave you this, and my reward is spending a Thursday night alone when I was expecting a nice evening together." They stood glaring at each other. The beautiful, overflowing ease of their last week had hit its first real obstacle. The silence was deafening. This was the crash. It wasn't caused by jealousy or betrayal, but by a simple failure to manage their most precious, finite resource, their shared time together. Core Practice 1. Daily Heart Share. This simple practice builds emotional transparency and trust. It ensures that small concerns are voiced early, preventing them from escalating. It's not about solving problems, just honest sharing. This is the steady heartbeat of a stable relationship network. Find a quiet moment together, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes. It's best to sit together, but you can also do this virtually by exchanging voice messages. If you are meeting in person, make eye contact, and if it feels right, hold hands. Breathe through your heart centers together to help you arrive in the moment. Feel free to share openly and informally. There is no set structure to follow. You might share what you felt grateful for today, in general, or about each other. You might name a fear or worry, a question, or a feeling of imbalance that is humming in the background. Speak from the heart, practicing heart-centered breathing as you do so. Use "I feel" statements. Listen to understand, not to respond. Provide your undivided, silent attention. You don't have to solve any problems that arise during the sharing. Simply acknowledging the issue is enough. If something requires further attention, you can agree to reflect on it and discuss it later. Some days, you might set aside time to do this. On other days, it might happen naturally while you're walking or washing the dishes. Honesty and consistency are the most important things. You may want to end your sharing time with a quiet moment together, a hug, or simply saying thank you for listening. Skills 6. Time and energy management. Balancing commitments across multiple relationships with fairness and sustainability. Understanding relationship bandwidth as a finite resource that requires conscious management, not unlimited expansion. Practicing realistic evaluation of one's own capacities and communicating availability boundaries before becoming overextended. Transparently communicating and co-creating schedules to honor commitments and ensure everyone involved feels seen and valued. Developing systems for fairness and predictability, such as shared calendars and regular check-ins, to reduce anxiety and last-minute negotiations. Honoring dedicated quality time by being fully present and minimizing distractions during the scheduled time for connection. Prioritizing self-care and solo time as a non-negotiable part of the energy budget in order to maintain personal well-being and be able to show up fully for others. Gracefully navigating scheduling conflicts and disappointments as inevitable events rather than personal rejections by using the communication skills learnt in Skill 1. Skill 7. Conflict, de-escalation, and repair. The art of navigating misunderstandings or hurt together and emerging stronger. De-escalating in the moment by using Skills 1 and 2, honest, loving communication and emotional self-regulation to prevent a disagreement from escalating into a personal attack. Committing to the repair process by viewing conflict as a shared problem to solve rather than a battle to win. The explicit goal is to restore trust and understanding. Making effective repairs by practicing sincere and specific apologies and forgiveness that address the consequences of actions, not just the understanding of intentions. Understanding how conflicts between two souls can affect others in the network and communicating with care to manage the resulting ripples. Knowing when to seek a balanced third perspective by engaging someone from within or outside the network to hold space and mediate. It is important to distinguish between healthy mediation and the toxic pattern of triangulation, where a third party is pulled in to take sides, avoid direct communication, or engage in gossip.